Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, where women share their dreams, struggles and successes, how they were able to persevere despite the fear and create the life they want and deserve. If you're looking for inspiration to move you past where you normally would stop, then this is the show for you. Here's your host, Melissa Banks.
Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. I'm excited you could be with us today. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. Today we have another amazing woman to share her journey with us and how she was able to keep going despite the circumstances. Today we have on the show Latasha McGill. Welcome to the show, Latasha.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited and honored to be here on today and to talk with you and to, just engage with your audience. And just thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Your story is absolutely amazing. And when I heard just a little bit of your story, I immediately thought my audience should hear from you because it will encourage so many people that will hear your story. And let's just go back to 2005,
Yes.
Hurricane Katrina. Now, most of us at that time know what was going on in our lives, where we were when it hit. Everybody has a Hurricane Katrina story. But when I read your story, and you lived in New Orleans, right, and the trip, that 3-hour trip, turned into a 13-hour trip, which is mind-boggling to me. But you and your girls made that trip. So when you look back on that time and how you felt that day, share with us a little bit about that trip and your mindset at that time.
Oh, Melissa, it was a myriad of emotions that included fear, determination, strength, faith, just a lot of uncertainty because during that time, my daughters were all ages 10 and younger. So, just traveling that distance, a 13-hour car ride, which was a very tedious car ride with 4 children that young, was just one set of emotions. I had to engage them and to navigate through what they were feeling and all of the questions they were asking and the uncertainty and not knowing because, they didn't know where we were going or what was happening. They couldn't fully understand and process it to the degree, of course, that us adults could. So, but honestly, I didn't know what to think. I thought honestly that, because Katrina wasn't the first hurricane that I had evacuated from. So during that time, I had just re-enrolled in school at Southern University at New Orleans. I think it was my second concurrent semester. And I remember grabbing clothes for the children. I didn't grab many clothes for me. I don't think I had but maybe an additional outfit if I can recall. But I remember grabbing my school book because my thought process was, okay, we can go by my aunt's house in Mississippi. She invited us to evacuate her house, and I can learn how to do a T account. I was taking an accounting course. I can learn how to do a T account, a couple of days of rest and relaxation until it's time to go home. Well, that did not happen. There was no going home. By the time I made it to my aunt's house, I was so physically and mentally and emotionally exhausted, I just wanted to sit down for a minute. I just needed to sit down and breathe. But to fast forward a little bit, the next day, which was Monday, because we made it to Mississippi that Sunday night. So Monday, when Katrina actually hit on August 29, 2005, by the evening time, my aunt had lost power. So I said, okay. She lost power. We were still in her home, of course. And if you can recall around that time, it was so unbearably hot during that time of year. Mm-hmm. It was so unbearably hot. So just to, be in a home and it's hot and the children and everyone's complaining about how hot it is. So that was Monday evening. By Wednesday, she had lost water. So we were at the loss of 2 utility resources, no electricity and no water. But Melissa, I still was thanking God because I would have rather been there in my aunt's house with the loss of utilities with my children than to have been in a Superdome or the convention center with all of the things that were going on there and everything.
Wow, Latasha, let me stop you right there for a moment. You said something really powerful, and I don't want you to fast forward past it through too fast because I want the audience to get what you said. Even though you were in a place that wasn't comfortable, because I remember, and most of us do, but I remember the heat of Hurricane Katrina weekend. I can remember looking for water and not having it. But in the midst of all of that, you were still showing gratitude and grateful that you weren't where you could have been. And I just need the audience to really catch that.
Yes. And so before the electricity went out, I was able to see that the Superdome was underwater. After the electricity was gone, of course, there was no TV, but I was getting updates from classmates and friends and other people who had electricity in places they were in, and they were telling me about everything that was going on in the Superdome and giving me updates from CNN and the convention center. So, yes, I was very thankful. I was also having conversations with friends and classmates who didn't know where some of their family and friends were. So during that time, I'm dealing with my own emotions, dealing with my children's emotions, but I'm trying to comfort friends who are telling me, Tasha, I can't lose my mama. They didn't know where their mother was. But I couldn't tell them that their mother wasn't dead because I didn't know. I just kept reassuring them everything is going to be okay because no matter what it was, I believed in my heart God was going to make it okay. God was going to make it okay. Wow. So I just kept reassuring them it's going to be okay. God is going to fix it. He got us. That was the best reassurance I can give to my friends who didn't know where their loved ones were because there were loved ones I didn't know where they were. And that's what I held on to. We didn't know where everybody was.
But you know, Latasha, you went through all of that. You went through not knowing what if you were going back home or if you could go back home. But when you found out that going back home was not an option or you made the decision, I don't know if it was an option or a decision, but when you came to that place where this is where we're going to be, this is how we have to restart, how did you wrap your mind around that and began to move forward?
I had to make that decision quickly, and it wasn't a decision I could make on my own. I had to consult God about that because I didn't know where to go. I had lived in New Orleans, Louisiana my entire life, and I can't say that I was a frequent traveler during that time when I was living in New Orleans because I was a single mother. I was young. I had 4 children. I had limited resources. I only had a high school education. We didn't travel, so I didn't know where to go or what to do. Of course, most of my loved ones and family and friends, they had all migrated toward Texas. So initially, that's where I wanted to go. I said, okay, well, maybe I can get some resources and some help or whatever in Texas. But there was some obstacles to that because the vehicle that we were riding in to drive to Mississippi during the evacuation process, that vehicle was kind of on its last leg during the evacuation process. We only made it as far as to Hattiesburg. And my cousin came and picked us up out of Hattiesburg and brought us the rest of the way to Jackson. So that vehicle was still stalled in Hattiesburg somewhere. I didn't have a car. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I did what I always know how to do, and that's pray. And when I consulted the Lord and I came out of that and just meditated on the prayer, I knew God was directing me to stay here. I didn't know what my future held here in Mississippi. I didn't know what the future of my children held here in Mississippi, but I know that God never steers me wrong. So I trusted in the comfort in his word and the peace that I had about staying here and making a life for us. So once the decision was made to stay here in Mississippi, of course I had to get a plan in action. So the plan I had to find a job. I didn't know anything about finding a job in Mississippi. I didn't know anything about the resources that we're all familiar with today regarding Indeed and all of those online resources, LinkedIn and things of that nature. So I just did what I knew how to do the old-fashioned way. I grabbed the newspaper and I started looking for jobs in a classified section. And I found a job. I found a job with a company called Temp Staff. And they put me to work at the Wynn Job Center when it was on Woodrow Wilson at the time. So I went to work. Fast forward, I put the girls in school. January came, January came. I know I wanted to go back to school. I couldn't go back to school that semester when Katrina happened that fall of 2005 because everything was a mess, and I needed to figure out our lives at that point. So there was no re-enrolling in school during that fall semester.
Let me stop you again, Latasha, before you go to that place. So you never stopped. What I'm hearing from you is through all of this, each step that you went through, you stayed focused, and you're focused on that it's going to be okay. But you didn't sit still and just do nothing. You knew it was going to be okay, but you also knew that it required some action and some movement on your part. And then another thing you said is I had to come up with a plan.
Yes.
And that's powerful because, so much was happening. It would have been easy to just throw up your hands and say, I can't do this, but that's not what you did. So what you just shared with us is the strength that it takes to push forward, even when it's not looking good. You were faced with a whole lot of challenges, a whole lot of things that could have made you stop, but you didn't stop. You kept going. And then you didn't give up on your dream of getting your education and going further with your education. And before you share that part with us, I just want to pause for a moment and let our listeners know who joined us late, who we're talking to. And this is Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. And today we're talking to Latasha McGill. Now, Latasha, you were about to get to the school part. So pick up right there. In 2009, right?
It's actually January of 2006 now. So just to give you a little bit of more insight as to why I couldn't give up my dream of going back to school, because when I originally decided to go back to school, prior to Hurricane Katrina, I always knew I was going back to school because God told me that was my way out of poverty, was getting my education. And I wholeheartedly believe that to this day, and I know it. And God's word never hits the ground void because all of that came to fruition. God said it, and that's exactly what happened, and that settles it. So one day the girls went to school, and I was looking at a commercial on TV for Mississippi College's accelerated degree program. I didn't know anything about Mississippi College. I just knew that the program, the way it was described, it worked for my lifestyle because I could go to school a couple nights a week, and I wouldn't be away from my children as much, although they were younger. And it was hard to make that decision to go back to school, although we were going through all of this. We were in a strange place we had never been before. A lot of things was happening, but I knew I had to keep going. I couldn't give up on that dream of, furthering my education, of getting the education I knew I always wanted. So I called and I emailed an application. And I talked with some of the recruiters at the school and some other people who were in charge of the accelerated degree program, Now, keep in mind I was already enrolled in school in New Orleans, but I was attending Southern University at New Orleans, which is on the lakefront. So imagine what happened to the school during Hurricane Katrina that's near a large body of water. The school was underwater. So I could not get my transcript. There was no one there to assist me, and I couldn't get a transcript. But Mississippi College allowed me to enroll without the transcript until it was available, which I thought was amazing that they worked with me to enroll in school and register without a transcript. Eventually, they did receive one. I think it was maybe a few weeks or a couple months after school had began, but I did re-enroll in school, and I completed that program in 2009. December 18, 2009, I walked across the stage with my bachelor's degree in business administration. It was one of the proudest
wow.
moments of my life. Yes, it was one
of the
proudest moments.
Were your girls there to watch you do that?
Yes, and the girls were there, my mom was there, and they were all blowing me kisses as I walked across the stage, and it just melted my heart. I can still see their faces blowing me kisses at their young ages. So it was very personal for me that they saw me accomplish that. It really was. I really wanted them to see me accomplish that. That was very important to me. It's very personal, and it means a lot to me. Of course, the degree means a lot to me, but the fact that my daughters were there to see me accomplish it means everything to me. Fast forward to December 2015, and I earned my master's degree from Belhaven University in public administration.
So you didn't stop there. You kept going. You kept reaching for more and doing more with your girls. And that's really a testament, because you went through a whole lot of stuff that you could have thrown your hands up. You could have said, this is enough, I can't go any further. But you kept pushing. And then your daughters, you went from evacuation with your daughters in a car, a 13-hour drive, and not knowing what your next was going to be, to walking across the stage. And they got to witness that. They lived it with you, then they got to witness that. And then you kept going. So that is really what this show is all about, is designing your life and pushing through even when it doesn't look good. So I just really applaud you for that. I want you to talk to our audience a little bit about your mentoring program, Whole Person Healthy. How did that happen? How did you move into that area?
So Whole Person Healthy was developed it was December of 2018, around November, December of 2018. I had gone through some really tough times in the year 2018. So as the year was coming to a close, Melissa, I feel as though 2018 was an awakening for me, the end of it. It was an awakening. It was a self-actualization time for me. It was strengthening time. And as the year was coming to a close, I had made a vow to myself that I wanted to be healthy in every area of my life, every aspect. And at the top of that list was letting go of everything in my life that was toxic. Letting go of everything that was toxic, and to heal myself from the toxic traits that I had as well, because if you keep allowing toxicity, there's something about you that's toxic as well. I was eating better, working out more. I had gone from being pescatarian to vegetarian to transitioning to vegan. And one day I'm just sitting in my room when I was living in my apartment, and I was just talking to God about it all. And instantly I heard Whole Person Healthy. And I've been running with that ever. It was like an epiphany for me. I said, you know what? That's amazing. And I've been using it ever since, and walking in that journey and inspiring other people to seek their own journey of Whole Person Healthy. Whole Person Healthy is a journey of total wellness in every area of your life. That's in your spiritual life. That's with your body, with health and wellness. That's with love and all of your relationships. That's with your career. That's what Whole Person Healthy is. It's a journey of total wellness. And I tell people it's a journey because every day you're striving for it. There may be some days you may fall short, but you get right back up. There's some days I'll fall short in that journey. But I'm striving every day for total wellness in every area of my life. And that's what Whole Person Healthy is about. It's me. As I'm on my journey, I'm encouraging and inspiring and uplifting others to reach their full potential, to strive toward their own journey of being Whole Person Healthy.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. And I always talk about that when you help someone else get to where they need to be, you will also get to where you need to be. So I just love that, and I think that will encourage so many people. Now, I don't want to skip over something big that happened to you recently. So I wanted to make sure that I had an opportunity to congratulate you on your recent promotion. So you went from in the car, don't know what you're going to do, to getting that first degree, then getting another degree, and then having an amazing promotion recently. Tell us about that.
Yes, and so I didn't even mention that in 2018 I earned my certification in leadership from Belhaven as well, so I do have 3 degrees. And I think I'm done with school, Melissa. I'm not sure. That PhD is always knocking on the back of my head, but we'll see. I'll update you with that some other time should I decide to go for that. But, you know, I am so excited. God is so good, because I'll tell you, in 2017, I was working a contract position through a company working at St. Dominic's Hospital. The contract ended in November, a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, November 2017. So I went through the entire holiday season without any employment. And you know, most of the time, companies aren't really hiring during the holidays. So I was still putting in resumes and trying to network and seeing what opportunities were out there. Because the year before, I had found myself in the same situation. I was working for an organization that I had really enjoyed working at, but a transition happened in August of 2016, and I didn't have any employment for that holiday season until I was able to gain a contract work through St. Dom in January 2017. So between January 2017 and November 2017, I was working contract work at St. Dominic's Hospital. The contract ended, as I stated, and I didn't have employment again for the second consecutive holiday season. I was upset, but it was nothing I can do about it at that time. Although it was contract work, I had been putting in resumes, even though I was working contract, trying to obtain some permanent employment, had interviews. A lot of them went very well, but still, you know, there was no offer of permanent employment. So when a contract ended, I found myself without a job. So January came. It was the middle of January, and someone called me from an area code that I had never seen before. But when you're looking for a job, you answer every call, whether you have it in your caller ID or not. So I answered the phone, and they told me where they were from and asked me if I was still interested in the position. So I'm just screaming, yes, yes, yes. So I was very excited. I felt good about it from the very beginning. So we set up the interview, and you know, the interview went very well. The interview went very, very well, and I was hired that day. I was so excited. I was so excited and just thankful to the Lord for the opportunity, and I started the position as a senior specialist. About a year later, I was promoted to director. And most recently, a little over a year after being promoted to director, I was just now promoted to associate vice president of compliance. So grateful and happy for this opportunity. And it just brings me to tears because I know everything that the Lord has brought me from. And when I talk to you and when I talk with others and I mentor people, that's why I tell this story, because there is no excuse to give up. There's no excuse to quit. There's no excuse not to persevere. I'm a woman who had 4 children by the time she was 25 years old. And when I tell people that, I say, imagine someone you know who's 25 years old right now. Can you imagine them with 4 children? But that was me. I should have, by all accounts, you know, let someone else say it, just sit home and maybe, you know, just collect whatever assistance I could have or whatever. But I couldn't do that. I had children dependent on me, and I was dependent on me. I knew the life that I wanted. I knew the life that I wanted to give them. It wasn't all peaches and cream when they were growing up. There were a lot of things I couldn't do for them, but I had to show them what I could do.
Right. And you never stop. You never let any of it stop you. That is just amazing. And it's amazing to see your strength today, and you're still pouring into people to lift them up. So any of our audience, thank you so much for just coming on and sharing all of your story, not just the good stuff, but you shared all of the stuff, the struggles. And that's what it's about, is how you push through the struggles. And I just appreciate you coming on today and sharing with our audience.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story.
If the audience wanted to connect with you, how would they connect with you? Let us know how to connect with you.
If they would like to connect with me, please do so. I am Latasha McGill on Facebook. On Instagram and Twitter, I am Tasha Mac 523. That's my I like to call her my alter ego personality, Tasha Mac. That's TASHAMAC 523. And that's my Twitter handle and also my Instagram handle. And also, if anyone would like to email me, I'm Latasha McGill 34@gmail.com. I also write for an online platform called the Pedestal Project. The Pedestal Project is a platform that it gives a voice to Black women by encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting those who may not have a voice or who needs to hear stories like mine and yours. So I do write for that platform, and I absolutely love it. So you can find me on the Pedestal Project. The Pedestal Project is the Pedestal Project on all forms of social media as well.
Oh, that is amazing. The Pedestal Project, I want to make sure they get it. Your story has just inspired me and so many other people to keep going. And that's what this is all about. That's what this whole entire platform is about, pushing through, designing the life that you want, and then doing the work and persevering through all the circumstances to achieve that. Thank you again, Latasha, for having the courage to share your story with us, because I know you helped so many people today.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you again to Latasha McGill for being here today, and thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's edition of Dream by Design. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying all your dreams are possible. Believe in yourself, work hard, and don't quit. Until next time, thank you for choosing Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. Enjoy your day.